Teleconference Standing Committee regular meeting is now reconvened in open session at approximately 2:16 p.m. We will now have a roll call again by Mrs. Ruiz. Ms. Ruiz, can you go through the roll call?
Regent Albert Myers,
Present.
Regent Mark Carter, Regent Pamela Medina,
Present.
Regent Ron Price, Regent Marilyn Rose,
Present.
Regent Wesley Terrell,
Present.
Student Regent Joseph Johnson,
Present.
Regent Mark Carter, are you on the line? Regent Carter is not on the line. I'm going to try to get in contact with him.
Ms. Ruiz, are we just waiting on Regent Carter?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're waiting on Regent Carter.
Okay.
Am I in the right room? This is Judge Carter.
Yes, sir.
You are, Regent Carter.
Okay. All
We
right.
were waiting for you.
Regent Carter is present. We have a quorum.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ruiz. If you will now turn your attention back to the agenda, we moved a couple of things around. We're going to start off with the Physical Facilities Committee. Regent Terrell, who's been on the call and actually who just confirmed that he's here, he's actually having to take a business call, and so I'm going to conduct this part of the meeting on his behalf. So at this point in time, I'd like for Mrs. Lockridge to come back online so we can go through the Facilities Committee report.
Okay.
Mr. LeBrand? Yes. With one ear to make certain that we continue our quorum, but if I am specifically needed, just call my name.
Thank you, Regent Terrell. Thanks a lot.
Good afternoon. This is Anita Lockridge, and I will proceed with the agenda items. We have three two approval items and one for information. The first item is a contract amendment with PBK Architects, and they are a firm that is doing some upgrades and modifications to our chill water system, and they are asking for a time extension from August 31st, 2020 to April 30th, 2021 to complete the project. They have had some issues with ordering and receiving materials due to the COVID pandemic. and are asking again for an increase in time. No additional cost.
What is the impact to the university, since considering there's no additional cost to the firm? Is there any constraints or anything of an inconvenience or impact on operations on our behalf?
No additional constraints. I mean, they're working on our chill water system and they're increasing that capacity. We do have a system, so we just needed to acquire a new system. And so that was what this project was about. I think we'll be good.
Okay. Any discussion points from the regents? Okay, Ms. Lockridge?
Okay, thank you. The next item is an item for approval, and this was an RFP that we put out for renovation services, actually to renovate all of the restrooms that are in Hannah Hall. There are a total of 7 restrooms for both men and women, and there's another restroom, I believe, in the ward room that is part of this renovation. The restrooms have not been renovated in some time, and we're bringing them up to current accessibility code, and upgrading the layout and finishes. The cost is not to exceed $797,000, and we have a 25% owner control contingency as part of that number, which is $159,000. The vendor for the award would be Floors to Adore.
Any discussion points from the regent? One question I have for you, Ms. Lockridge, is the contingency fee, is it based on a delay on our behalf or a delay on the contractor's behalf?
I am going to ask Lee Bertrand Harrison is on the call, but I believe it's just a contingency that we build in for the project.
That is correct, Ms. Lockridge. It's built on Region Manager Bertrand Harrison. The contingency is simply the fact that there's still some unknowns anytime we deal with old equipment, outdated. And we want to be sure that in our past history, when we go into start tearing out stuff, that we just have a good, not a good amount of money, but a good amount of funds available if we find something catastrophically bad for us, or force majeure, so to speak. So it's just a contingency for us to have in case, just in case.
Okay, and so the fee is basically our additional funds in the event that we run into something that should not have been there, and we got to do extra work, and so the contingency is on our side in terms of additional cost in case we run into something that's not there.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Any discussion points from the regents? I move this item. Is there a second?
This is Regent Carter, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Ms. Lockridge?
Thank you. The next item is for roofing services. We have 4 resident halls that we have put a bid out for roof replacement. And then we also have for the warehouse in Gray Hall. And so the cost is not to exceed $1,647,991. Of that amount, $1,385,711 is for warehouse in Gray Hall, and the remaining $262,280 is for the resident halls. The the roof will be warranted for 20 years on material, and it carries a 2-year labor warranty as well.
Any points of discussion from the regents? I move this item. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item, Part D of the Physical Facilities Committee, naming of the Library Learning Center. That item is going to be tabled. As a board and as an institution, there's a few things right now that are critically important to our success. With the COVID-19 scenario that we have and the impact that it's having across the university, getting students back to the university, keeping them safe is priority number one. We have a litany of accreditation items that we're working on, from the Department of Education, SACS, ABA, coordinating board. We have financial aspects of the university that we need to focus on. We don't know what's going to take place in the legislative session. We don't know what's going to take place with the Department of Education. We just have a litany of things that we have to work on. And so this issue at this point in time is being tabled. I'd like to hear from now to move and hear from the interim president. Mr. Hewitt, if you can join us now, the floor is open to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we're going to be able to put our president's report up on the screen, and we'll get through this one, and then I'll conclude at the end.
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything at this point. I don't know who's driving, but next slide, please. Dr. McKinney?
Yes, sir. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. So I wanted to be able to bring you all some highlights from the Division of Student Services. Next slide, please. All right, so we are so excited to be able to give you some updates related to our wonderful students. And so one of them is, of course, the brand new student regent, senior political science major Joseph Johnson, was appointed by Texas Governor Greg Abbott to serve as our new student regent. He's from Sugar Land, Texas, and he will be serving a 1-year term. So we just want to congratulate him on becoming the new Texas Southern University student regent for the upcoming academic year. We look forward to working with you, and we know you're going to do some wonderful things this academic year, and just congratulations again. Next slide, please. All right, some other student leaders that we want to be able to bring forth to everyone to announce their leadership for the upcoming academic year. Miss Kanaya Burley, you heard from her earlier. She will be the 73rd Texas Southern University Student Government Association president. So we're so happy that she has been elected, and we want to congratulate her and her cabinet. Cameron Williams will serve as the internal vice president, D'Angelo Coulter, the external vice president, Taylor Brock, SGA comptroller, Segun Adedeji, executive secretary, and Laterica Hudson, attorney general.
Welcome aboard.
Yes. So excited to have them. They've been doing a great job already, and they just started this month of June. For the University Program Council, the new president is Jayla Fields. You all are probably familiar with her. She's been doing a lot of work across campus her entire time as a student at TSU, just like our members of SGA have all been heavily involved on campus throughout their tenure as students. So congratulations to Ms. Fields. And finally, last but not least, our Mr. and Miss Texas Southern University, both are Freeman Scholars. We have Ms. Janai Minga and Mr. Christopher Jones. So congratulations to them. We know they're all going to do fabulous work again in this upcoming academic year, and we just want to welcome them and congratulate them on their success and on their newly elected position. So next slide, please. So in this age of COVID-19, we're pivoting quickly as a university, as all institutions are. And one of the ways in which we're trying to provide additional services to both our new students and our current students is we're shifting our online orientation. We're shifting our in-person orientation so that it's online. And so what you're seeing now is what a new student will see when they log into the new student orientation. So there's going to be a high impact welcome video, many resources about academics at TSU, support services at TSU, finances at TSU, housing at TSU. We're really going to work to orient them to campus, and they will do so through this virtual platform, which we hope to launch and have available just in the next week or two. So this is our new student orientation, which will be virtual in nature. Next slide, please. All right, another exciting new feature that was just launched this month, we have an artificial intelligence chatbot feature. And so this is going to allow us through this summer to send clear and immediate information to students on university changes and operations as COVID evolves on campus. It also helps us to identify students who've been affected by the pandemic, and then we can connect them to resources, both on campus and community resources. It's also going to collect information for us so that we can try to predict persistence data, and that will help us as we formulate plans and outreach initiatives for fall recruitment and retention. And so what you see on the right is a sample of the text message that our students are receiving. And all the texts seem to come from Text the Tiger, which is our mascot. And so you see it says, "Hey, Ethan, this is a Text the Tiger on behalf of Texas Southern University. In an effort to better support you and help you navigate this challenging time, we're going to be checking in on you over the next few weeks. We'll text you important information about TSU, and we're going to send you helpful resources." And so not only are you seeing Text the Tigers send these communications, but students can also text back. We've gotten several notices when there appears to be any language that may be concerning. For instance, a student wrote back to text and it said, "My grandmother was a high school dropout." And so the system thought that the student was saying that they may drop out. And so we immediately got that alert. And if it was an instance where someone was thinking about dropping their courses or had any issues with TSU, we could immediately connect with those students and put some interventions in place to better support them. So we're really excited about this chatbot feature. Next slide, please. So we want to continue to communicate resources that are available to our faculty, our staff, and our students. And so these are two samples of resources that were emailed to the campus community. The one on the left is helping us to better understand and highlight resources that are available to our campus community, both on campus and off campus. We have food bank information. We have resources for those who may be experiencing domestic violence. We've all probably heard the statistics that there's been an increase in the rate of domestic violence since everyone was staying home. And so we wanted to make sure that we provided that resource to anyone who may need that. Resources for those in the community that are LGBTQ, who identify as LGBTQ. We have those resources there. Resources on how to file for unemployment. And then, of course, Houston Community Resources through the United Way and some other entities that are here to really help to support those in the community who may be experiencing any number of issues related to COVID-19. The resource on the right is related to mental health. So a lot of people are experiencing higher levels of anxiety and depression as they isolate at home through these stay-at-home orders. And so we just wanted to make sure that we gave some COVID-19 coping tips. And so we sent those out to the community as well. There's also a national helpline and a Texas helpline that is there at the bottom. And then we also provided the link and the ways to contact our University Counseling Center on this resource. Next slide, please. So you're going to hear later on in the President's report how the faculty members have been engaging through a number of platforms. We also wanted you to highlight or to know a little bit about how student services and other members of our campus community are engaging. And so this is just one example of Rice University partnered with Mentor Collective to host a higher education and COVID-19 webinar. And so people throughout the state and across the country could log into this webinar and hear how their peers, how their colleagues, and how other institutions are working to prepare campuses for fall 2020 during this COVID-19 pandemic. And so I had the pleasure of sitting on this panel and got to hear a lot of exciting pathways that campuses are preparing for their students. And then we got to be able to provide some examples of what we're doing at TSU as well. Next slide, please. All right, so we're so excited to be able to offer this staff spotlight opportunity for those who work in the Division of Student Services and Enrollment Management. Essentially, we want to be able to spotlight or highlight and recognize our staff who are doing extraordinary work during the COVID-19 pandemic, and they're stepping up to help the TSU community, their fellow Tigers, and of course, our students. And so we're working to highlight them, give them some yard signs that they can put in their residences that say not all heroes wear capes, some of them have stripes, and so we're TSU proud, and we're putting those yard signs out for those staff who are recognized or who just want to promote TSU and all that they're doing to support our students. So we're really proud of this initiative. Next slide, please. And even though we've been staying home throughout COVID, we've continued to work both virtually and in person. We've had a number of renovations that we started right before we left in the spring, and we've been able to continue some of those throughout the summer. So I wanted to highlight some of the renovations in the TSU Recreation Center. So we've gotten new furniture, paint, lighting. We've made some repairs to the pool. You can see on the presentation that we installed new flooring, new signage so that it makes navigating the space a lot more user-friendly. We will be adding a video game station to the second floor once we are able to fully return to campus and students can utilize that equipment. But we're really excited about the new look of the Recreation Center on the second floor and then the renovations that have also been done on the first floor. It looks so much better, and we hope that the students are excited when they return as well. Next slide, please. So we've also been able to do some updates and renovations in the Student Center. We've ordered new furniture for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, as well as our LGBTQ Pride Center, which we're hoping to open both offices in the fall. We've repaired the elevator floors. The tile was coming up, and so we've been able to repair and replace that. We made upgrades to our game room. So we added some arcade games, some TVs for the video games. We added video game chairs. And again, once it's safe to do so, then students can engage more readily in the game room and take advantage of those upgrades that we've done. We also updated the first and second floor lighting throughout the building. We replaced the outer doors, put in some new AC units and controls. And then also the cafeteria and dining services went through a renovation. So the flooring and then some other updates within the cafeteria. And then lastly, we polished the terrazzo in the cafeteria as well. So we're really excited by that. You can see some of the photos. It's really coming together. And we hope that the students will be excited upon their return in the fall. Next slide, please. So we wanted to give you some updates in terms of what we're doing from an admissions and outreach perspective. One, as we try and engage with our prospective students, and then secondly, as we work with our admitted students and helping them to proceed through their checklist so that they become enrolled students. And so this is just through June 4th. And so we've hosted a number of webinars. We have had a number of students participate in these virtual information webinars, over 614 in fact. We've had a number of webinars for prospective students, but also the newly admitted students. And some of those webinars were hosted in collaboration with school districts. So far, through June 4th, we had 7 webinars with Dallas ISD, Grand Prairie ISD, Fort Worth ISD, Lancaster ISD, Garland ISD, Mesquite, and DeSoto ISDs. And I believe they have planned one or hosted one with Houston ISD as well. Next slide, please. I want to highlight the third bullet here, the number of emails that we've sent to prospective and admitted students. As of June 4th, we had sent over 15,783 emails to both prospective and admitted students, again, trying to help them either to apply for those prospective students, to submit their application and all of their materials, and then for our admitted students, helping them to work through that checklist so that they can become enrolled students. A number of phone calls, a number of emails, a number of outreach opportunities that we've engaged with them just to try and answer any questions, and to let them know that we're here for them even throughout this entire pandemic. Next slide, please. That concludes my portion of the report. And Dr. Harris, if there's no questions, I think Dr. Harris is up next for some faculty and academic updates.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Glad to have everyone back. And thank you for allowing us to talk about some of our faculty and academic updates for the university. Next slide, please. Well, of course, we lost a legend at Texas Southern University. We must start off with the fact that we lost this legend and we just will not be able to replace him. He would have served his 101st birthday this month coming up. So it was truly a legend. Professor Emeritus Dr. Thomas F. Freeman, a legendary debate coach, founding dean of our Thomas F. Freeman Honors College, and over 70 plus years as a teacher, mentor, coach, and preacher. You know, one of the things someone said is, I can't remember if it was Ms. Provost or Professor Wu, that he has been serving this university longer than most of us been alive. And so to give him, to recognize that is only befitting of us as we move forward. Dr. Freeman, thank you for your service, and you will not be forgotten at Texas Southern University in the field of academics.
Thank you,
Next
Dr.
slide, please. Next slide, please. Well, of course, go back, one back, just for people to see some of the different ceremonies that took place of his homecoming that we did have on campus. It was a beautiful event. If you did not get a chance to come, it was an event of a homecoming. It was one that was celebratory. and it recognized the great man that he was. The only thing that I can say that I wish we could have did it better is if he could have still been with us. But we know that wasn't possible. And for that, we tried to do our best to give him a very pleasant homecoming. To his family, if they're listening to us, thank you for allowing Dr. Freeman to be a part of TSU for as long as you allowed him to be there. Thank you. Next slide, please. Of course, we had other fallen tigers that had gone and may not have had as long as tenure as Dr. Freeman, but they was just as important to us. A TSU graduate, Dr. John Sapp, who served the university since 1964. In the time of his death, he was still serving as our chairman of our Department for Chemistry. He has served various academic roles, including interim dean on multiple occasions, associate dean of the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology, and, of course, a chair and professor in the Department of Chemistry. He was a Trailblazer Award for his work in environmental justice. He began teaching at TSU in 1964. So maybe not as long as 1949 as Dr. Freeman, but for sure another long term that he served the university. Thank you, Dr. Sapp, and to his family. We appreciate him for being with us. Next slide, please. Also, from the School of Communication, we lost Professor Winslow Jeffries. Dr. Jeffries served the university in over 20 years of experience in marketing and education. His expertise was audiovisual, radio, TV, and film. Matter of fact, Dr. Jeffries was the pioneer of getting TSU's audiovisual, radio, TV, and film program off and running. He had professional experience at BET, HBO, ABC Radio, and Chicago Cable Television. Service well done, and we truly appreciate you, Dr. Winslow. Next slide, please. Of course, we had other fallen tigers, and because we did not have a single screen, is not any less of these fallen tigers, but we do want to recognize Dr. Riley Venable, retired professor of counseling in the College of Education. Dr. Ronald Lomas, retired professor in the School of Communication. Dr. Shirley Moore, whose services is tomorrow, is a retired professor of sociology. And Dr. Llewellyn Swan, professor of sociology, who served us again 41 years. To them, we thank them for their service. I did have one other faculty member that had fallen that was not necessarily on our list. It's Dr. James Beard from the Thurgood Marshall School of Law. I wanted to recognize him and to say our thank you to him. Next slide, please. Well, in this time of social unrest, I think the chairman called it earlier, and in this time where chaos is tormenting our community, Regent Carter spoke of policing in the city of Houston and how he's serving on that subcommittee there. But we have some outstanding researchers who are taking up that charge also. Three of those I should just mention here is Dr. Howard Henderson. He's over our Center for Justice Research. He launches the National Police Reform Advisory Group. This is an advisory group here in Houston that is also working with the chief and the sheriff department within the city of Houston and Harris County and talking about police reform. He was on the ABC 13 Police Reform Primetime Hall Town meeting. So thank you, Dr. Henderson, for your efforts towards that. Just here, I think it was just the other day, Dr. Anthony Rodriguez and Mr. Gary Bledsoe hosted a webinar entitled Reparations and World Change that focused on the systemic biases in the public domain, especially against African Americans. They have featured talks from Dr. George Key, Dean of our School of Public Affairs, Dr. Gregory Maddox, our Dean of our Graduate School, and remarks from Representative Sheila Jackson Lee and Representative Al Green. And there were other noted speakers, including Deputy Director of the United Nations. So I did want to recognize some of the racial justice expertise that's going on here at Texas Southern University. It was a great webinar that they put on. Next slide, please. And that talks about some of the other efforts that took place. Dr. Robert Butler, for instance, our distinguished professor of urban planning and environmental policy, was recently featured as an NBC article concerning environmental justice and environmental activism as a racial blind spot. The science shows the fallout was what it was called. So it was an NBC News festival. Dr. Gregory Maddox spoke at the Houston Public Media Confederate statue removal. He spoke from a historical perspective. Dr. Maddox is a historian here at Texas Southern University. Dr. Karen Cossey. Dr. Cossey, professor of history, was featured on this morning Houston Matters show discussing efforts to establish a Juneteenth as a national holiday. It's something that we have Juneteenth as an individual holiday, but in this sense that this is a point of history that we all need to recognize, not just within the African American community, but across the communities that represent this great nation that we live in. So that was a great presentation that she did on June 19, 2020, on Juneteenth. Next slide, please. Dr. Alvia Wardlow, our museum curator here at Texas Southern University, also spoke on Fox 26 News on the reflection meanings of Juneteenth Day for the first time. She really I got a chance to catch that presentation, that broadcast, and it was very enlightening, some of the perspectives that she brought up. Our own Dean Joan Bullitt, our Dean of our Thurgood Marshall School of Law, spoke on from an exploratory history standpoint. She was on a panel that represented, along with Dr. Douglas, that talked about the impact that African American struggle and racial disparities continue. A historical dialogue. So talking about it across a timeline, which was really good discussion there. That was sponsored by the Thurgood Marshall School of Law Historical Juneteenth panel. It was picked up on NPR, CW 39, Fox 36, ABC 13, and KTSU. Dr. Michael Adams, our interim department head of political science and director of our executive MPA program, spoke on Houston Matters when he talked about violence and social changes. In moments of great social changes, America has a history of violence. And he spoke from the perspective of, does violence always have to be the trigger for social change? Why can the trigger to be the social change be the fact to do the right thing? So thank you, Dr. Adams, for speaking towards that. Next slide, please. We have when it comes to our COVID-19 developments, we're still in the pandemic as we're dealing with this. Dr. Robert Bullard, a professor of administration of justice, served on the mayor's Health Equity Response Task Force concerning COVID-19. He's also interviewed with Texas Monthly on COVID-19 about his book, The Wrong Complexion for Protection. That was a nice pun on words there, the wrong complexion for protection. How the government responds to disaster endangers African Americans community. Something he wrote back in 2012, but is still represented now because within the African American community specifically, or I should say minority serving communities, specifically African Americans as well as Hispanic, the numbers of COVID cases are spiking. And Dr. Bullitt was also selected as one of WebMD's Health Heroes in 2020. And one of 7 African Americans the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation recognized on its website as part of Black History Month back in February. Dr. Omanike Olayi, our professor of pharmaceutical science and the interim associate provost for research, has been working on the preliminary steps of developing a vaccine. Actually, I said vaccine, but she corrected me. She said drug for COVID-19. Results are so promising that they're actually taking the next steps to have a potential patent, what they call a temporary patent, so to protect the ideas because it may be ready to go to human trials very soon. The drug that's being developed for COVID-19. She was telling me yesterday that she was actually able. Yesterday she was in the lab and she was very excited because she hit a very high milestone for drug development, or I should say experimental development, in the fact that she was able to replicate her results for the 3rd time. And that's usually the litmus test of making sure that you're doing it right, is that you run the test once, get great results. You run it twice, it might have just been luck. You run it a 3rd time, and it's that way you got something good there. So she was quite excited about those efforts. Next slide, please. Due to COVID-19 and to maintain the health and well-being of our TSU community, and President Hewitt, did you want to cover this, or did you want me to cover this proposal?
You can go ahead. You're right into it. Go ahead. I'll
I did I was on the roll there, sir.
Yeah.
Didn't want to step around this. We're planning with board approval, of course, to adjust the fall 2020 academic schedule. Classes were beginning to begin on August 24th. We're proposing that classes run to August 19th, begin on August 19th, and run till November 13th, which formerly it would end at December 4th. This schedule will basically be instead of a 15-week, let me go back. An academic semester is 16 weeks. That's 15 weeks of instruction and 1 week of exam. This schedule will allow us to have a 12.5-week academic schedule for academics, and then a half a week for exams, and which gives us basically a 13-week semester compared to a 16-week semester. What this would do is this will allow our students to complete the semester by prior to, I should say, to the Thanksgiving break. So students wouldn't have to leave and come back. In the state of Texas, in our area, the cold and flu season is a little delayed compared to the rest of the country. It typically hits around December 1, and we're trying to make sure our students are not leaving and then have to come back and transport any potential dangers in that process. So we'll have the classes will run between August 19th to November 13th, with final exams being November 14th to the 19th. And if social distance will allow, we will have a commencement on November 21st, which will all be before November 26th, I think is Thanksgiving this year, all before Thanksgiving. To accomplish this, I'm an academician. I can always have to have contact hours to be the same for a go from a 15-week semester to a 12 and a half week academic teaching semester. We will extend class sessions to ensure the contact hours are met. So a 50-minute class will now become a total 60-minute class. Our 20-minute class will now become a hour 50-minute class. So we're basically extending the time periods for Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes as well as Tuesday, Thursday classes to ensure that we have the same contact hours. We do understand that this will be a little condensed for our students, but we won't have the challenges where some universities said that they'll go online after the Thanksgiving break. I didn't want to have final exams online. I think that's really a disservice to our students. They need to talk to their faculty. They need to be able to interact with their faculty. This semester, under this schedule, or even under the previous 16-week schedule, will look a little different in the sense that we will have a combination of courses, some face-to-face courses with social distancing being in place. We did a social distance study here at the university where we reduced our classroom sizes so that we would not have as many students in the classroom. We're physically removing chairs where possible to make sure that we maintain the right balance of students in a classroom. So we will have some face-to-face, some hybrid courses. Hybrid courses meaning some of those courses where Monday, if it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday course, for instance, Monday, half of the class may come. Wednesday, and the other half will come. But on Mondays, when you're not in class, the class will be broadcast synchronously over the internet. So you will be at home on the internet getting the material. So you will always have class. You will just have a class either in class one day, out of class the next. We feel that our students need this synchronous, this interaction with the faculty members for them to be successful. And then on Fridays, that class will be all online. Same thing, similar for Tuesday, Thursday. It'll be half of the class on Tuesday, half the class on Thursday, and we'll go from there. So the semester will be some hybrid courses. And then we will have some traditional online courses, both synchronous online as well as asynchronous online. These courses will allow our students, allow us to deliver our academics to our students in multiple ways, either synchronous or asynchronous online, hybrid, meaning online as well as face-to-face, and some face-to-face. Next slide. I think that's what all I have. Are there any questions that you may have of me?
I'm not for sure, Provost, if this is the right time and if the president was going to address this a little bit. But with the surge that we have right now in this COVID-19 and pretty much everything that you just suggested was basically being based off of the environment that we're dealing with. If this surge continues as it is right now, and it hasn't peaked or it gets worse going into the fall, and I'm sure you have different models to reflect this, but what are we thinking just in the event that it continues to increase in terms of the number of cases reported? The only reason I asked that question because I had a couple of folks whose kids go to the university ask me that same question, and I said, we're working on it. We're looking at different methodology in terms of what that may take. What are we thinking in that case?
Great question, Chairman Myers. That is a scenario that we're looking at. Now, understanding we're trying to come back to campus in the fall, but if things don't allow us to come back, we have to go to a completely online model with some of our courses. Mainly, most of our courses now either being, if we look at the way we're setting up, where a third is face to face, a third is hybrid, and a third of our courses are online. Those hybrid courses can be transformed to online a lot easier, which will allow that to all be online and the educational process continue. Our face-to-face courses are more challenging courses, and mainly a lot of our face-to-face courses are fall into one of three categories. Laboratory courses where they're physically touching something in a College of Science and in our, even in our School of Communications, where they're actually working on equipment and touching equipment that the student may not have at home or will not have at home. Second, our performance courses. Those performance courses being, in the fine arts and the theater, those type of courses there. And then third area that we have face-to-face is our large classes, where we can't do hybrid, and it may do the students a disservice if they are not. Now, those courses will be a bigger challenges for us, but we do feel that at least for right now, 2/3 of our courses can be easier transformed to basically online if the spike continues and if this pandemic rises. Dr. Fossey, something that's just embedded in my mind is when he was talking about we're not in control of anything, basically. He said who is controlling is the virus, in the sense that where it goes, how it's affecting the population, that's there. But I do want everyone that's online now to understand that we are taking every precaution of if we are face to face. No, we're taking precautions, like I said, from social distancing, making our classroom smaller. No classroom would be taught more than 3 hours before a more detailed cleaning. We will have self-cleaning, meaning wipes in every classroom. Students can come in, wipe off their desk, wipe off their area, but then after 3 hours, that classroom will be shut down for 30 minutes or so, and a more thorough cleaning will be coming into place by our cleaning staff. So the transition, if need be, will be to go online. But we're trying to have a semester in the traditional sense. But of course, we're dependent on the virus and how the virus takes us.
Right. One. Imagine if parents are beginning to ask that question. One of the things that may be good from our perspective is to, maybe have a scenario 1, scenario 2, maybe a scenario 3, by hypotheticals. Because I've been asked a couple of times, what if this thing continues to go up? Are you having classes? Are you not having classes? What you doing? And I think we should probably start communicating. Like you said, we're not in control here at all, and I think we can only do hypotheticals and different scenarios of what may or may not happen. But I think it'll give those that are looking at coming back some insight of what may or may not happen with the university. I know President and Ms. Lockridge is looking at various models as it relates to the financial aspects of what the impact of all this may be, in the short term and the long term. So I think, and that's an internal picture, but I said from an external picture, we probably should start putting something out there where parents are beginning to see the different scenarios that may confront sending their kids back to school here coming in the fall.
Yes, sir. And one of the first steps that we said was that we didn't want the board to find out that we were trying to move the academic year up, starting early and ending early on the street. We wanted to first have that conversation with you. Matter of fact, I have a press release in my email that the Office of Communications have already sent me that said exactly what you're saying is, hey, what are we doing for the fall semester? First thing is, the first step is we're going to start early and try to beat and end before the cold and flu season begin. Second step is like what you said. If the virus continues, we will take these steps. But understanding that the first step is that we're starting face-to-face, and face-to-face is going to be a combination of face-to-face, hybrid, and online.
Mr. Chairman, if I can add, let me add something to that, Provost.
Yes, sir.
So we're as we're saying, the plan is for us to come back. We believe that face-to-face is important to our student population. We are so we're focusing everything on that. All of our readiness to return to Tigerland is based on us returning back, and again, using the safety protocols that we've been learning for the last 3 months through what we've been experiencing. But we also are mindful of what's going on, here in the Houston area that could be different than another college in Texas that's in a rural area, and so we're staying attuned as to what's going on in Harris County and with our population. And even as we think about the 3 phases that we're in right now to bring our employees back to the campus as well, we've put that off a couple of weeks just because of the situation. And so we're totally monitoring what's going on and reacting accordingly. And so I would say our plans are in pencil so that we can always adjust and erase and not think we're locked into anything. But as far as what we're trying to do, as far as our students and their families, obviously needing to know, because we can't wait till the weekend before and then tell them, oh yeah, we're coming back. And so the plan is to come back. If things persist going in a negative direction, then we will, in a timely manner, have to make some adjustments to those plans and notify our students and our employees as well. But right now, everything that we're doing is for the preparation of us being back, which is why we're buying PPEs, we're installing plexiglass, we're putting out signage, we're redoing the classrooms, our models to ensure social distancing. And so everything we're doing right now is with the optimistic approach that we will be back on the campus. If we get to mid-July, latter part of July, and it just doesn't look like that's going to happen, we will have to pivot. And so even everything that we're doing when for some of the items that the board has approved earlier today about technology that we're buying, the laptops and those docking stations and those type of things for our faculty to be able to if they have to leave the campus in 180 and go back home and work remotely, we'll be even better equipped and better able to provide that type of academic teaching and learning to our students. Better than we were when we had to do it in this past spring. So again, we're optimistic about coming back, but we're also planning, as you say, whether it's plan A, B, and C or 1, 2, and 3. We're also working on 2 and 3 just in case, if things don't get better and we have to do something different than we're planning.
President, this is Regent Medina. Do you mind forwarding the press release? Or give me.
I don't. Provost Harris, I haven't seen that, so you'll have to.
Okay. I have not released it yet. There's a few comments that I have there, but I did not want to release it till the board was aware of this today. It's just what we're working on behind the scenes, so that if we're saying this is a good plan of us starting early and ending early, we can get that out there. But I can definitely forward to you, Regent Medina.
Yeah, we can share that with you before we release anything.
Okay, with us all. Thank you.
Yes. Regent Chairman Myers, were there any more questions you might have had on that?
No, that's it. I think we can all, step out of the shoes that we're talking in today and be parents, on this subject, and just like, many on the board and many on this call, have students somewhere, and obviously, when you've been asked that question 3-4 times and you're thinking the same also, it's just something that's on the mind that you have to assume of parents. And so everybody's looking at different scenario, different contingency plans, what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, because we somewhat have no control here. And so I think the more we communicate that, the more some comfort that we can give parents that, you know, they have some type of idea of what the university is thinking as we go forward. So I just think the more we communicate that out and be more transparent about what we're doing, it's better for the students and the parents.
Okay. Ms. Spalding?
Okay. All right. Thank you, President Hewitt, Chairman Myers, members of the board. I will be very brief. Next slide, please, as we talk about updates related to alumni within the Division of University Advancement. So we love our TSU alumni, and it's been very important to us and our AVP for Alumni Relations, Connie Cochran, and our Director of Outreach, Dr. Brian Armstrong, to keep them engaged. So what you're looking at here is a screen grab from one of our many virtual meetups that we've had during this time, and we've been doing them via Zoom, and you can see some of the faces that participated. It's been great to give them updates about the university. Our alumni, whether they have students who are attending or not, are very interested in our COVID plans and response, so we've been giving them their updates through these Zoom meetings, and they've been able to submit their questions and also participate in our recruitment outreach with the various ISDs as well through the Zoom platform. Next slide, please. And one of the ways that we've been keeping our alumni informed was through an event, a first of its kind event, where we had a question and answer session with Chairman Myers and Interim President Ken Hewitt. So this session was moderated by Connie Cochran and Keith Scott, president of the TSU National Alumni Association. We thought it was a great event. We gave alumni a chance to submit their questions in advance that they wanted to ask about. And as you both know, it included a variety of subjects. We thought it was very informative, and the feedback from our alumni was very positive, and they really appreciated being a part of this session and getting the answers firsthand. Any questions about this? That concludes my report on alumni for this meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairman Myers,
Okay.
Regents, and President Hewitt. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm here just to highlight a couple of events that I had the pleasure of teaming with Ms. Melanie Jackson and Staff Council. Next slide, please. So the first event, we hosted a Return to Tigerland Zoom meeting on June the 11th, which was really great. We had 158 staff participants. I was able to cover a number of items that the leadership team have been working diligently to ensure that our staff, faculty, and students all have a safe return to Tigerland. So items that were covered were cleaning, signage, PPE, facial coverings, hygiene, practicing social distancing. I also covered important aspects of the Families First Coronavirus Act. And then at the end, we allowed the staff to have a Q&A, and they were allowed to ask me any questions that were lingering for them to ensure their safety. We thought it was a very successful Zoom meeting, and I think the link was sent out, and as of today, we have like 112 additional staff members who've watched the video. So that was good. Next slide, please. In the second project, I teamed up with Melanie Jackson and Staff Council again, and we hosted a community service project on June the 18th when we had staff that willingly volunteered to come out and help us to hang signage across the university. And that was a fun project that I actually thoroughly enjoy working with our staff and doing. And so everybody that was so gracious to come out, I would be truly remiss if I just highlighted that, because this is a testament of the employees that we have at the university who are willing to come out and do anything that is above and beyond the call of duty. So I must mention each one by name. So Melanie and I would like to give a huge thank you to Eartha Carter, Deborah Cartwright, Nicholas Castellanos, Cheryl Cole, Eddie Davenport, Rita Dictakiri, James Durant, Paula Eakins, Kenya Fleming, Sydney Granger, Stacey Hawkins, Glenda Higgins, Melanie Jackson, Reuben Joseph, Sandra Miles, Yolanda Nimmer-Williams, Harry Pipkin, Chad Sebastian, Kyla Smith, Cephas Ward, and Mr. Gregory Williams. It was such a fun day that I thoroughly enjoyed getting out, running across the campus, and putting out this signage because it is so important for all the work that our leadership team, as well as, and I want to also mention Dr. Wu, because she was part of my committee for employee relations. So it was just fun. I always enjoyed teaming up with staff council and faculty senate, and just seeing the camaraderie that the staff have. When we asked them to do this, I mean, there was no hesitation to come out and do this and drop whatever they were doing. So those are the things that we want to highlight, because I think it's so important to understand that the employees of the university, is outside of our students, is probably our largest commodity. So again, I want to say thank you to all of our employees, and especially those who came out to help. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions, Chairman, on that?
No, thank you. Any questions from the Regent?
So I'll be brief. I'll be brief on mine. Regent Carter, I wanted to let you know you would have some company on the mayor's task force on policing reform. I don't know if it was obvious earlier, but Dr. Howard Henderson, who's with our Center for Justice Research, is also one of the 45 members on that task force. So TSU is represented twice on there, so that should serve us well.
Yeah, that's really that's awesome.
Yeah. The second thing I wanted to talk about is just to let you know that I've got a meeting coming up in the next week or so with PBK to talk to them about finalizing our campus master plan. As you know, they've been working on this for a little while, and even through this coronavirus, we've been able to do some virtual meetings, and so I'm sure we'll have another one next week. But the plan is they want to discuss some things with the administration and then work on finalizing that plan. So we'll look through the talking points and make sure that they've covered everything we need, and then we hope to give them the go ahead to finalize that campus master plan for us. So obviously we can start being a little bit more strategic with the use of our assets going forward. So we're looking forward to that. So I'll keep you posted on that and the expected end date once I know that. Third thing right now is we've got we're in the midst, not the midst, but we've started our budget process for the next fiscal year, and we are expecting some information back from the campus community, if you will. And I will be working. Our staff will be working with board relations to schedule a budget workshop with the regents sometime, and I'm hopeful that we can have this concluded before July 15th. And so I'll work with Ms. Ruiz to get some dates on that are amenable to you all, so that we can have a workshop to discuss what we're thinking about going forward in the next fiscal year. So that is forthcoming. The other thing I hope from just this presentation from the senior staff here, I hope it's obvious to you that although we've been working remotely, we've been working, and we've stayed focused on our students and our employees, and quite frankly, our special purpose designation, as far as utilizing our educational resources, our faculty, to help deal with matters in the community. And so I hope that's obvious to you, as well as those that are listening to this live stream, that the faculty and staff have been very busy in keeping our university and our operations moving forward. And again, towards our return to Tigerland, or just again trying to deal with our urban issues, if you will. Everybody's been steady at moving forward on this, and nobody's been resting. I think everybody's excited about trying to get back to the campus to get a little rest. But that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman and Regents. And again, I want to thank all those that participated in this board agenda. Obviously, it's not something I can do by myself, and from all the cabinet members and the faculty that participated, I just a warm felt thank you.
Thank you, Interim President Hewitt. Let me suggest this here, and I'd like to open up to any comments from any of my colleagues on the board. But I want to thank you for all the information presented today. I know today was a long day, a lengthy day. We covered quite a few subjects. But as a whole, as I stated earlier, we have a lot to do. We have a lot of promise in front of us. At the same time, we have a lot of work to get done and to get a few things in order as we go forward. So I want to thank everybody today for being patient and making the presentations and getting us through the day. And I'd like to open it up to my colleagues for any final comments, and then we will adjourn.
This is Regent Medina. I just wanted to thank the cabinet members, faculty, staff, everybody that had to do what we have to do to get prepared for today. There's a whole lot of delving through lots of data before we get to what's presented today. So I just want to thank everybody for that thoughtfulness and that diligent preparation.
Any other comments? If not, if there's no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn? May I have a second?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Today's meeting is hereby adjourned at approximately 3:29 p.m. Again, thank everyone. Be safe, be healthy. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.